Welcome to tonight's streamed lesson. In the last lesson, we went through some of my painting techniques. So we got the sketch on screen, and what I'm going to do first off is take you over to the palette, because what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to show you how to do a very simple, what we call an imprimatura technique on how to start a painting. Now, for many new students, when you start a painting, it's like, whoa, where do you start? Most start mixing paint, and normally too small a dollop of paint or an amount of paint, so it doesn't go very far. And this is time consuming. It's also quite stressful. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to show you a very easy way, which is actually hundreds and hundreds of years old. It goes back to way beyond early Renaissance. And it's a technique which many professional artists to this day use as well. So let me take you through. If you go to the palette, you'll notice I've got raw umber and French ultramarine blue. Now, both of these colours are, they're transparent or semi-transparent. So the raw umber is semi-transparent. Here we go. Raw umber is a yellow-brown. And French ultramarine blue is a purpley blue. Well, if you think about your colour theory just for a second, yellow, brown being a dark orange, so we got a yellowy orange and we got a purpley blue. The yellow and the purple remove each other, and the blue and the orange do the same. So these are almost direct opposites, which means when we put the two together, I don't know if you can see this, you should be able to on the palette, it goes to pretty much a black. Now, we don't want it to go black, but what we do want is a darker brown. And the reason for this is that we want it to actually give us some variations in tone. I want to keep it slightly brown because we're a forest. And if I was going to be painting a seascape, I'd keep it more blue. Let's put the blue over there. If I added more blue, it'd actually almost turn into an indigo blue. Right, and over here we have some solvent. We'll wipe it clean and put it in the bin. Now, I'm going to take a chisel brush, which you see here, and I'm going to put some solvent on it. You can see that. And just take out the surplus solvent and a little bit of the stain now. In other words, this paint, because it's transparent, we can remove it very quickly, should we want to, if we make a mistake on the canvas. And it's also going to give us a lot of tonal value between the dark all the way through to the light, because the white of the canvas, in this case a canvas board, is going to show through. Right, let's now take a look at the image itself, which you see on the screen, which is the drawing. And well, I'm going to talk you through how I would actually do this. The first thing that's most important to me is where the path is going to be, where the path is going to go. So I don't want to position it exactly, I just want to sort of get the level to it. Now, if I mark off the centre, mark off the quarter, it's easy then for me to get the golden section, which is 3 parts to 5. So in other words, if I continue this up, I've now got 8 segments. Oh, that one's a bit low. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 segments. Now, if we come up 3, we got 5 left. So it's a 3 to 5 ratio. So if I wanted to have a low horizon, I could put it here. I'm thinking the path really probably ought to be somewhere along the quarter harmonic, which is here. So the path, I kind of feel, if we go the other way now, we go vertically, there's the halfway, there's the quarter. I don't want anything in the middle. This is why I'm choosing to put the centres in, which is here and here. I want to steer clear of anything really in the middle, which is the reason why we redid the sketch because the original painting was actually had this tree right in the middle. And we don't really want that. So I'm going to suggest we actually start to map this out now. Here I think is going to be the highest point. Shooting down. And we've got a section here, which kind of is that the right place? We'll stick it there. We'll see what it looks like in a minute or two. I think I'm going to come up slightly higher than this. Can you see this is making marks on the canvas, but I'm not really worried about it because if the mark isn't true, then we can remove it. There's no big problem. It's a bit like charcoal, but I can wipe this right off. I can get it completely clean, which is something you'd struggle to do with charcoal. That's going to be where the path bends. So we'll push that in like this. So that's where the path center is. Let's just push it past this. Maybe I'm going to enlarge this up a bit. So I'm going to get a soft brush now, bit of solvent. And here's what I mean about changing something. This is just a dry brush, basically. Well, it's a clean brush, not dry, it's a clean brush with some solvent on it. And you can see that marker's now gone. So let's now redo that. Bring it across, coming up. And I kind of feel this possibly needs to come over slightly. I think that needs to come over there. We'll see how this looks and then go from there. If it needs to be altered, then great, no worries. Putting that down. This kind of bare bones currently. The bare shape. It's a little bit thinner than I'd hoped. And maybe we need to bring that up. Let's just see how that works. So we've got our ziggy path. Just raise that slightly. I'm going to now start to put in the main values of the lights and darks. So I kind of see this as being a dark area. And you can see I'm just scrubbing the stain in. It's not painting as such, it's just making a dark mark. The painting comes after this. And then we'll come in around here. So these are, effectively, these are trees. I'm going to get a bit more stain. And I'm trying also with this technique, we're going to create some light and dark shadow areas to make the painting a bit more interesting. If this was a full Imprimatura, I'd have stained the entire canvas and then lifted off the highlights. But I don't see a need for doing that really today. It's a small canvas anyway, so it's not going to take a long time to get this marked off. Biggest thing here is to just relax and enjoy it. This is going to have a dark area because I think I've got the sun. So I've probably got the, well, the main light is about here. So yeah, let's just put an imaginary sun in. It's going to be there. And so the shadows of this bank will be along here. This bank is raised, so there'll be a shadow. Likewise along this bank here. Now let's have that coming up. You can see really all I'm doing currently is just putting some shadows in. But already it's beginning to look a little bit like Christmas. What I mean by that is it's beginning to look like a painting already. I won't go too high on that side. I think it's, this is going to be nearer. I see that as further away. And I kind of like this shape of the light as it comes in. Let's see where we're going to have a tree here a second, so I'm going to put a bit of shadow in for that. And if the sun is here, I'm wondering, should I put it there so I'll get better shadows? So would it be better to put the sun, for example, here? Yeah, I like that already. Okay, so we'll rub that out. Take off our guides. And this is a little bit of terps or solvent, which is on the brush. And I'm in a very small studio here. So I always use odor-free solvent or odorless solvent. It's fundamentally terps, but has no smell, which pleases everybody. I'm just going to put a little bit of value in here as I've got this a little bit wet. If I can get it in, there we go. And the path I'm going to, for the moment, just leave blank. So this is where what I'm saying is the main shadows of the painting are going to be. All right, now let's load up the brush. And you can see how quick this is. There's no, it's kind of a, I try to make a rude word, which is detail. Try not to go and worry about detail on a painting, especially when you've only just started it. And it's not important. What is important is the balance, it's the design. Does it look as though it's going to be interesting? I kind of like this path to go maybe up a little bit more. Get some more solvent on this brush. And just have that disappear. You can see what that happened there. Wiping the brush clean. I've got a bit of paper towel just out of shot, which is what I was doing there. There we go. Okay, and I think I'm going to come slightly in on this, raising it up a bit. Can you see, to make changes, it's so easy. I'm not worried about colour. If I'd have spent time painting that in, it'd be like, oh, woe is me. It's I've just spent a load of time painting it, so it's time is precious, right? Now, with the sun here, shadow's going to come off over there. Over what you say? Well, of course, I'm going to put a tree in there. Let's do that. Right. So let's see where we had it. We kind of had it here. And let's just put this in. The sort of tree this is, I kind of feel, I know it's like a redwood. Maybe it's not going to be a sequoia, but it's a redwood. For those of you who are not in the UK but are in America, we do have sequoias in Dorset in the UK, and they're in the New Forest, where actually this is taken from. It's, I think, the original. No, actually, I'm wrong. The original photograph of this was North Yorkshire. Gosh, nowhere near the New Forest. I definitely don't have sequoias in Yorkshire, as far as I'm aware. Having said that, someone's going to say, yes, we do. Let's put another tree in. Kind of like the position of that. It's the problem with the previous painting, which the reason why we did the sketches, that this tree was like kind of in the middle. I'm not going to say who painted it, but needless to say, it had to be moved. Now, look, light. So which is going to be the dark end of the tree? It's on the left. So I'm just going to lighten that side up. And the way I'm lightening it, is that a word? Well, it is tonight. Is I'm just taking the solvent and I'm just removing some of the paint. Okay, and that'll tone down. And if it doesn't, we'll just put a bit more stain on. So if I'm not worried about colour, what's going to happen here is I'm going to focus totally on the design of the painting. And in so doing, when it does come to putting the colour on, well, the design is going to tell me exactly where to put those colours. Whereas if I don't do this, then I've got a green, like say I've got a medium green or a light green on the brush. Where am I going to stick it? So I don't know where the light green areas are yet. So these are dark shadows coming in again from that raised bank. And I'm just going to scrub these in, making them look a bit higgledy-piggledy. Okay. And I enlarge, just take a bit more of that stain and stick the shadow on a bit more. Okay. Is that just check? I'd say I went a little bit high there. Of course, the shadows, the darkest point is at the base of the tree, so we could just lighten that up a bit and disperse it a little bit. There we go. It's probably all that's needed. So where else are we going to go and put some of these trees? Let's load the brush up. Now again, I'm using the same brush, which is a chisel brush. And we've got a kind of nice, interesting tree. Throat's bad again this evening. I think that looks okay there. It's a kind of one of those, I won't say scary trees, but it's a tree which is leaning over. And I'm just being mindful of that, so let's just pop this across. Kind of going to break this here so it comes in. A bit more stain. And goes across. This I will spend a bit of time on when it comes to doing the painting, but for the now I just want to get a rough in because I'll probably lose most of this tree detail when I start putting in the background. So I just want it as a location, if nothing else. But it needs to come down there a little bit. Great. Now the sun's here, so guess what? There's the shadow to the tree. Excellent. Let's have another couple of trees in. We've got the kind of a, let's just lift a bit of highlight. There we go. Something going on in the distance, we're not quite sure. We don't need to know what it is. I'm going to put some dark shadow underneath. Again, a bit of dark here. Now, let's see about putting some of these distant trees in. So just bring it up. Now what we don't want to do is to make it look too tidy. So a lot of people would do a tree here, they'd maybe do a tree there, they'd stick one dead center, and maybe they'd stick one dead center of that and dead center. And before you know you've got a picket line fence. So nature's untidy, so don't do that. That's not a good idea to do at all. So let's just mess that up a bit. Excellent. And let's put some messy trees in. So they're further back, which means they're going to be smaller, thinner. They're not going to be as big as this. And in actual fact, this needs to go thicker, doesn't it? Because if that's like that, then this is nearer. So unless, of course, it's a smaller tree, which I don't want it to be. I want it to be a dominant tree. Something a bit, like hello, I'm a tree. Let's pop that in. Does that work? Works-ish. It's good to go. So again, now I'm going to put another tree in, but at a slightly different angle. and paying particular attention, so as far as my arm is probably blocking that. As we drag it across, over here, maybe something on there. And here, let's have a few of these. Are decoratively placed. They're not what I call the main characters of the painting. They are the supporting actors. They're the crowd. And our action hero is this one and this one with the path. They're the action heroes. So this is, supporting actors. Make it look a bit interesting. So we'll have a few like that. Maybe we'll have one coming up again here. Okay. No more than that. This seems like it needs something in there. So I'm going to just put this as a base in. I've probably gone higher than I was anticipating to go, but it's all right. I kind of like it. Our path continues up and over. It's fine. So I want to differentiate this from what's going on behind. Adding something there. In other words, just separating it from that distant bit. Now, I kind of feel we can just put a bit more. Maybe I should have done this before I put those trees in, but never mind. This is the beauty of Imprimatur. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's, you wiggle it around the place. If you make a complete mess of something, like, oh, let's do it. So let's put a tree in here. Oh, look at that. Woe is me. Oh no, it's okay. There's no panic. Just go to the dry brush, the lift-off brush, and pop it in, and we can either do one or two things. We can either reduce it, bringing it into its correct size, or a better size, or we can just take it out completely. Choices. Kind of happy with that, to be honest. I don't need nothing else other than that. So we've got some things going on here. We've got a bit of tree activity going in. That's foliage, by the way. That's one of those things called leaves. Doesn't need anything else at this point, because it's telling me where the leaves go. That's it. So, because we're not painting leaves yet. And of course, if that's the sun, and maybe I like this as not a dead tree, but just hasn't got anything on it. No leaves as such. We can add some lighter areas, lighter leaves. Lighter leaves? I know what I mean. Here we go. So I'm just messing this up a little bit. With the sunlight here, there'd be a few light areas. And to be honest, I'm playing with this now. This is how quick this could be for you. It's probably already enough information to make a painting. So, it's a sense of I'm having fun, so I don't want to stop. It's like my creation. So I just want to tickle it more. But we have really got enough to call it a painting. So we got this as our main shadow going across here. This as our secondary. It's a little bit heavy, I think. So yeah, I'm going to get a bit of tissue. All I'm doing is a bit of tissue, squeezing the brush. Can you see that? And that cleans the brush off. So now it's making this a little bit narrower. And I've only used two brushes. I've only used the kind of put-on brush and the lift-off brush. affectionately, I call these the sticky oni and the lifty offy. We won't go there. It's embarrassing. So a little bit less on that, lift off that. And underneath it, just sharpen that up a little bit. Let's have a quick look. I think that's going to make a nice tree. Question, do we put some leaves on it? In which case we just need to do this for the now. And maybe do that. And all of a sudden I've got leaves on it. Can you see that? Don't have to make a decision on that yet. We can keep that for a later time. If you have any questions on this, please do just leave comments in on the online community. The streams will go on there as recordings, so you got them as future references. And you can watch those at any point in time you wish. What the plan is, just to let you know, is that each one of these will become a project because next week's live lesson will be putting the paint on. In actual fact, I'll do the mixing of the colours first, and I'll put that onto the community as a separate video. So next week's stream will be applying the paint, and we can have a bit of fun there. Okay, so the foliage has grown a bit. I can see that through the cameras onto the main screen. Let's bring this down a bit. I like that gap. I like that quite a lot. Does it continue? It might do, because that would come up. Here's where you just got to kind of think tree. And here, again, distant trees, but nonetheless would have something going on in them. And I think, we could be there. Let me just have a quick moment. You see what I mean? It really does not take long at all. And anything I do now really is kind of fiddling, I suppose. But because you don't need to paint the picture at this stage. It's just deciding on where the big things go within the painting itself. The big shapes. And to create a balance, a harmony within the painting. Now, do you remember the initial sketch? It was the design sketch, which was in the previous stream, previous lesson. So that effectively we were placing things within a harmonic, and that kind of is the way I tend to paint and work. I always think of, well, where's the best place to stick this? This is beginning to feel like it needs to be a rock, which I kind of like the thought of. So we could, at this stage, just have a think about that. What does it look like as a rock? There we go. Again, think rock. It sounds very, I don't mean to sound patronising, but one of the things I always say to my students is don't think in class. So it probably goes against the grain to say think rock. I always feel if you're thinking, you're not painting, you should be seeing. There's no reason to use this. You have two eyes. Those are your tools, is to see and look at this and go, okay, does it need to, does this need to move over? Does that think? Yes, but see, mostly see. Let's just put a bit of highlight in here. I'm going to get some solvent on this brush. This is the third brush now we've got in play, and this is a an imitation hog. It's a golden, sorry, it's an ivory brush from Rosemary & Co. In other words, a stiff brush, not a soft brush like this. This one is an imitation sable, again from Rosemary & Co. If you're not familiar with Rosemary & Co brushes, and I'm not associated with Rosemary at all, it's just I've used her brushes for like over 20 years, and some of these are actually one or two here. Let's just see, is that, yeah, this brush here, which you see as a golden top, which is, I just put some nail varnish on the back of it to identify it. Well, I stopped doing that 12 years ago. I'm still using the brush. Brilliant brushes. If you look after them, they will look after you. And they don't cost a silly amount of money either. Again, on the community, you can go to the community shop and you'll see some links to Rosemary & Co. direct website there, and some suggestions on what brushes you should get. Can you see how this is turning into a rock? It's a bit twee, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. Let's mess that up. So let's just look at that. Can we how best to mess this up so it looks the part? Looks like a rock and not like something out of... it's too tidy. I don't like tidy. Right. So think of it as light and dark shape. Come back into this, I'll sort of clean this brush off and we'll lift that. Okay, now I'm just going to go and put some darks in. And the sun here, again, I'm thinking where the sun is when I do this. There we go. That's better. You successfully made a rock. Great. Let's put a bit of something in there. If it's too light, it kind of defies, well, what is it? You know, we need to make it something. I see these as hills or as clumps of grass, which means we can make it a bit messy as well. But I don't want to, again, I don't want to put too much into this stage. A lot of it is going to be on the painting stage. Sun, shadow. Sun here, shadow coming down. So these shadows will help us lead into the painting. Helps your eye. I'm actually kind of almost done here. I think we are there. I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. Let's just put these brushes down. Hang on a sec. So I'm just going to clean this up. A path I'm happy with, it comes along here. Now, when it comes to paint this, I'll probably, I really want to show you a technique which is creating depth, and we can do it in a number of different ways. One good way is to make this out of focus, is to make it misty even, and obviously pin sharp these areas in here and really crisp the edges up. So that's in our ability to do quite easily. Okay, so I think our Imprimatura is pretty much done, and I think that's kind of it. Let's just have a quick check. I could put, although this is dark, I could put some light against it like that, just to define where the light part of the tree is. Look how that really shone. Another one here. And this will help me when it comes to do the painting, because it will tell me where the light and dark areas of those trees are. It's kind of the information point. This is where you're playing with the image, but you're not really painting. There we go. Although we do have a Tweedledum 1, 2, 3 picket line fence going on. I think it's okay. I don't mind a little bit of that. Too much, no good. I like a bit of mess in the painting, especially a forest. Notice the light is on the other side of the tree trunk. Here it's on the right, these are on the left. Very important. I'm going to just really make this near tree shine by doing this now. Coming in. There we go. Dip in the solvent, clean the brush off. This will go right back to the canvas board if I wanted it to. Not sure I want to do that. Oopsie. Slightly went astray, never mind. So let's have a quick look at that and see where we are with it. I think I like that. I'm looking at it on the computer screen because I can't stand far enough away from this, as I'll go flying over the palette. Let's just take a little bit of a lean back. Yeah, okay, so a few bits. To make the path look a bit more realistic, keep, especially the near things here, keep them quite sharp and horizontal as well. Don't put anything vertical in if it's a path. Here we go, just distance that out. What does that look like? You know, I think we're done. Maybe just a little bit more on this. Every time I say I'm done, I kind of see something else, which is, okay, that's what it's about really, isn't it? There we go. Yeah, bit of drama on that tree. On the top. And just push that in a bit on that curve. Now I kind of feel the way to bring that tree forward is just to push a little bit of dark in the background. I think that's worked. Yeah. Anything else needs to go in there. I tell you what, I think it just needs an edge on dark on the bottom side. Is that too thick? Yeah, just a little bit. So just bring that a little bit thinner. Can you see how this is so relaxing to do? There's no stress in it. Yeah, because if something's not right, well, no big deal, because it's not the painting, it's the mapping out of the painting. And they said marking out the painting. It's kind of both of those. And wrong brush. Now, if you want to see some excellent, absolutely superb, breathtaking imprimanturas. Look up an artist, classical artist called Van Eyck. Van Eyck is a 14th century artist. He was just a master. His imprimanturas were in their own right paintings, which he then coloured them in. So, the imprimatur, you can take it as far as this, or you can take it much further. You can actually add detail and keep going for hours on end. But the thing is, it is at the end of the day, if you're using it to start a painting with, it's just a guide. So you could have, or we could have just gone down with this line to identify where the tree was going to go, do a zigzag for the path, and you said bath, to a zigzag for the path, and then some of these lumpy bits here where the the ground is, well, we could have just kept those very simple, and a few lines for the trees. We didn't have to go to this amount of detail. Why did I do it? It's just fun. My recommendation, this is a small, look at it, there's my hand. This is a small, I don't know, was it 7 by maybe 9 canvas, 7 by 10. It's not a big canvas. You probably pick about, 4 of these up for less than £20. Just practice. Just do 3 or 4 and have some fun. The more you do, the better you're going to become at this. Don't worry about making mistakes, because every time you make a mistake, you learn. If you didn't make any mistakes, you wouldn't learn anything. You'd already know it. That's why you don't make mistakes. Think of it as a concert pianist. He doesn't make many mistakes because he knows what he's doing. But if you're just starting out, close the door when you're practicing. So, really just have some fun. And the other thing is, give yourself some time to learn. If you're just starting out in oils are the easiest medium to paint in. They don't go darker. They don't go lighter when they dry. They just dry. They don't change colour. And you've got a lot of time to relax in. This will be dry, ready to paint on top of, probably within about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Part of it is already dry. Look at this. It doesn't come off on my finger. So, it gives me a lot of time to work at it, and it's in a relaxed way. I'm not pressured. So next Tuesday at 5 p.m, we will be adding colour to this and making it into that painting. It'll probably be done. I want to do this in 2 stages. Stage 1, apply the colour in blocks in a very simple way. And stage 2, complicating those larger areas up into smaller and smaller sections. In other words, detail. So it'll be done in 2 steps. Step 1, next Tuesday, blocking in with colour, and then the following Tuesday, complicating those blocking in areas to make it a real painting. Okay, thanks guys for everything this evening. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll be cutting it and editing it and putting it on the community within a few days, possibly tomorrow. And also it'll be edited so that it forms one complete project. But that's obviously when I finish everything. So all the best. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Night night.